Welcome to Strip Cover, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we are here for part 3 of a 4-part series. Part 3 is the third part of the read-along for
Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. Or The Haunting, or The House on Haunted Hill, or any other title they came up with for this. Or Netflix special, Haunting of Hill House. However you want to do it.
Is it called Haunting of Hill House?
It is called The Haunting of Hill House. So at least they kept that. They literally changed everything, but yeah, it's fine. Keep that at least.
What is a Netflix?
Let's just move on from things here. Do you want to break these chapters down a little bit?
You break them down.
I would love to break these down. I was more saying, would you like me to break these down?
Do what I brung you here for.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. We have chapter 6. We go outside, and there's a bit of a haunting scene outside while they're picnicking. And that's really it. Not a lot going on with chapter 6, so I think we can just move right past that. But chapter 7, we get the arrival of Mrs. Montague and Arthur. And they are here to use a planchette to speak to the ghosts. The pounding returns, but this time Eleanor feels it within her. Go on.
The pounding returns, and this time Eleanor feels it within her.
Yes, that's a thing.
The pounding returns.
The pounding returns.
And this time Eleanor feels it within her.
Yes.
Let's move on.
I don't want to move on. I want to address this right now. Yes. Anyway. Chapter 8. Mrs.
Is that the Brazzer version of Brazzer?
I don't know. No one knows how it's pronounced.
Is that the pornographic term?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. The Haunting of Hill House 2, The Pounding.
The pounding returns.
Oh my.
Oh,
this video's ruined already.
Ruined this.
Chapter 8. Mrs. Montague complains about pretty much everything. Eleanor wants to go home with Theodora. They go on a bit of a walk with Luke, and Eleanor is once again haunted. This seems to be a recurring theme. The haunting is within Eleanor. Everything is circling around Eleanor. The pounding returns again.
Well, Mrs. Montague complains about everything, but she slept straight through the pounding.
Well, that's why she brought Arthur with her.
A little bit of protection.
My God, this has gone south in a hurry. Anyway, chapter 9. I think we're going to have to focus on chapter 9 here because this is hot trash. Eleanor basically loses it. She starts pounding on the doors of the house.
Starts doing the pounding on her own.
She starts pounding on the halls.
She straps it up and does the pounding herself.
And she's rescued from this iron staircase that she's ascending by Luke, and she's sent home. Eleanor, we don't want you here. So she wheels the car around and drives it straight into a tree and kills herself, and that's where we end.
Yeah.
Hot trash.
Okay.
Hot trash. Adrian, how do you feel about this? Part 3, the conclusion of the novel.
I will not say that the ending is hot trash. I will say that it brings it right back to a level of realism. Because we are left in those last moments to blame no one but our protagonist. Right?
Go on.
Well, so she keeps waiting for someone to stop her. No one will stop me. No one will stop me. And in that sense, it seems a suicide, does it not?
It does.
It does not seem an accident. It does not seem she was possessed.
It is inferred it's very purposeful that she drove directly into this tree. It was a suicide. I believe that's even how it's referred to.
Well, sure, and is going to be referred to that later, obviously, by anyone who is not her and is not the haunted, right? So we are left to call into question about what this novel is about.
Okay.
About what is this novel? We're left to question the motives behind the novel.
Okay.
So she is not ever a particularly stable individual, is she?
No. And at this point in the novel, as the hauntings have continued, they all seem to be focused either around her or within her. So Eleanor seems to be the focus of the hauntings for sure. So something's not quite right. Something has gone wrong.
But Theodora seems to be one who is able, not to channel it, but it seems, the haunting seems drawn to her, but manifests in Eleanor.
Yes, and prove me wrong, Shirley Jackson. The entire time we were reading this novel, I was centered on Theodora. I said, hey, this is our problem here. There's something not quite right about this character. So, but fool me once, that's fine. I guess, Eleanor was the one I should have been worried about all around. So, props to Shirley Jackson. That worked out quite well. But you are correct. There's something mysterious that seems to be manifesting these hauntings, and it seems to come from Theodora. However, Eleanor is definitely the victim of the haunting here.
Right. And if you want, so start with the end. This is a suicide.
Okay.
And trace it back. Has Eleanor always been this individual who is haunted? Has she always been someone who is troubled? Has she always been... She lied about her entire life up to this point.
This is true. This is very true.
Is she someone who just lives with that veil of the possibility of suicide draped around her entire life?
And what we're dealing with here, and this is the interesting part with this, with Shirley Jackson. I think this is well done, and I will give this credit. The idea comes, is there an actual haunting, or is this just the mental hauntings of Eleanor? Because we even get, or the big revelation here, that she stole this car to get here. She doesn't have a home to go to. She's been lying to these people this entire time. So the mental stability of this character is absolutely in question at this point.
Well, but... So sure, it's in question, but even if she's not mentally unstable, we have no reason to believe that she enjoys her life. We have no reason to believe that hereforth she will be able to create a new life. And she came here to do that. And she is in the wake of these events being told by everyone, no, you have to leave. No, you have to leave. She didn't come here just to get haunted. She came here for a new life. She came here for friends. She came here to know people. She came here to be important. And now even these people are telling her she has to leave.
Okay.
So where is the weight of that? It's directly on the individual.
True.
Nothing that this individual wants goes right. Nothing this individual wants is something that she gets. And so at the end, so that there are, I'm stumbling now. At the end, you're looking at a suicide, correct?
Yes.
Unless there's haunting going on. We've no reason to believe there's haunting going on.
And again, I think that's where Shirley Jackson's successful in this. Because
she's always successful.
Where she's always successful.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. It's that moment of question where we don't know what's going on. Because even at the end, we have to question it ourselves. Was this just a straight suicide? Was this just a troubled individual? Or is this the direct cause of the haunting? The mystery continues. And it's good mystery. It's well done in that aspect. But what kills me more than anything with this is it's such a fizzle.
Well,
there is so much build-up.
I'm making a point here.
Make your point.
So, with this individual, there's sort of two types of suicide when you really break things down.
Okay.
There are people who go through something and decide not to keep going.
Okay.
And there are people for whom the haunting, the specter of suicide is ever present.
Okay.
So, for example, just to throw out pop culture, people were surprised when Chris Cornell committed suicide.
Okay.
The man had been singing about suicide for 30 years. He had everything in the world. He had a wife he loved. He had children. He had all the money he could ever spend. It didn't matter. That is someone with whom the specter of suicide moved room to room.
Okay.
Let alone year to year. So,
man who always has his demons.
Yes. Demons which are inescapable. Demons which are rooted in us. Demons which haunt us. Demons which we carry with us. And so there are those personalities, right? Lincoln was often described that way. Lincoln was a guy who lived basically under suicide watch.
Yeah, Lincoln's melancholy.
Lincoln's melancholy. He's a guy who, in Lincoln's Melancholy, which is a biography on Lincoln, there is a phrase that his friends described him as, quote unquote, dripping with melancholy. Which that's a hell of a way to describe something, right? Like that is a gorgeous description.
Absolutely, especially when used nowadays, because nobody knows what you're talking about.
But so when you think about that, when you think about Lincoln, do you think about the big sad guy?
No, absolutely not.
You think about the wisecracker, don't you?
Absolutely. Put on that good mask.
What Eleanor do we get in this novel?
She's putting on that good mask.
She's trying to find friends.
Absolutely so.
But we see those demons at work inside the head. When she's constantly jealous and or suspicious of Theodora.
Absolutely. But more interesting on top of that is the manifestations of the haunting as well. The audible hauntings, the noises that they're hearing, the visual hauntings as well. These things are manifesting around this character. So in addition to a possible intrinsic haunting of the self, we have that external haunting as well that's coupling with this. So it makes it more striking. But we also have to question, is all of this real? Yep. All of these audible hauntings that Eleanor is describing to us, are they actually happening, or is this just what's going on? Is this these demons knocking at the door trying to get out here?
Yeah.
So I think there is some success in that. I will agree. It's well done. It is. But my God, man, this novel was built up as being, oh, this is the big one. This is the Haunting of Hill House. This is so great. Man, does it just fizzle. It's that firecracker ending at the end when we have this huge culmination and something's going to happen and she's dead and it's over.
But it's not just and she's dead and it's over. I think that in a lot of ways it's So, The Happening. Did you ever see The Happening?
Yes, I love The Happening.
A lot of people didn't, though, right?
Yeah.
But everyone was a little bit disturbed about it.
True.
Why?
True. It was unsettling.
Why was it unsettling?
Something just wasn't quite right.
About?
Everything.
About watching someone kill themselves.
Okay.
So you can watch movies all day, every day about, it's a shoot 'em up, right? Bang, 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 bang. Even so deep as the slasher film.
Okay.
And you can watch Jason Voorhees chopping people up left and right. But if you go to Full Metal Jacket and you see that scene where he puts the rifle in his mouth and pulls the trigger, don't you get just a little more queasy than when they're shooting up other folks?
It's unsettling. It's uncomfortable. It's very unnatural.
So since we don't see it, and it happens in such a mysterious way, I think we're involved in this suicide. So it becomes more of a murder.
Okay.
Right? It does not become watching someone commit suicide. It becomes watching a murder.
Okay.
And I think that eases it a bit for us to where it is easier to envelop that image than it is to actually, it is easier to take that than it is to watch a suicide. And I think it's because we are not used to the distance being used in our literature today. We have the Fight Clubs of the world, which are very direct and in your face. We have Hemingway, who didn't dress anything up. He just said it for slaughter. But when we're looking at things through a bit more language like we're looking at here, they don't hit us as hard. And I think that's what you're suffering from there. I don't think that it's a fizzle ending.
Okay.
I think it's the distance involved.
Well, let's back up a little bit because there's more to talk about in these few chapters here, just the ending. We get the inclusion for the first time of Mrs. Montague and Arthur, which I love.
You love him?
I love Arthur. Mrs. Montague is terrible and absolutely just awful, and that character drives me nuts. But Arthur is amazing.
But we've all known a Mrs. Montague.
We've all known a Mrs. Montague, but she's the one who shows up and she's like, let me tell you how to do this because you're just fucking everything up. I know what I'm doing because I am the spiritually inclined one. She takes complete control.
Yeah.
But this entire time here, she's accompanied by Arthur. And it's a little uncomfortable.
Why?
Well, we got a big strapping man here coming with her and protecting her. It seems to be very much Mr. Montague's place.
Yeah.
Seems to be a little something going on between old Mrs. Montague and Arthur. Got a very, very close relationship, those two. So much so that Arthur patrols the halls and keeps guard, watches out for her while she's doing her mystical wisdoms in the closed room. So I think there could be a little bit to be read into here, and there's some good humor with it as well. Absolutely so. The idea of, Arthur patrolling the halls with a gun. What are you going to do with a fucking gun?
Yeah.
You going to shoot the noise?
Yeah.
Good try, Arthur. But you got that strapping man. That character is necessary at this point. It is an absolutely necessary point because until this, we have had no humor. There is no break to this. It is just the same Victorian drab of sitting in the hole. We're going to have a nice brandy. And we are going to do nothing all day and talk about how wonderful it is to do nothing. You need this character to break up that monotony.
At some point in 2064, when we're still doing strip cover lit and we're still under 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to make you reread this.
You think so?
Yes. I think you're giving Shirley Jackson a bit too much hell.
You think?
Yes. I think that Shirley Jackson is requiring you to bring in some of your own imagination.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Anyway, how do you feel about that, Mrs. Montague and Arthur, and the inclusion of the two?
I think Mrs. Montague is the most important part there.
Okay.
Because of what it tells us about Dr. Montague.
Okay.
Who marries that woman? Who marries the woman who's always willing to tell you you've done something wrong?
Go on.
It's the same guy, and I don't even know how to put it into words.
Okay.
But it's always the same guy.
Yeah, he does put Dr. Montague in a new light. Because, up until this point, we've seen him as, the head of this investigation. The very intelligent Dr. Montague, getting down to the nit and grit of this, getting into it. But as soon as Mrs. Montague comes in, we see his home life like, oh, no.
Yeah. You married for love?
Doc, you must see something in her, Doc. But that is a thing that you get with those highly priced academics. Sometimes, when you meet their other half, it's just that polar opposite attraction.
Yeah, it's the polar, and it's not just a man thing either. I know I have several of my female professors who, when you meet their significant other, it's just like, where did this come from?
I have to tell this story now. So I had a former teacher, a female teacher, and her husband. She would take him along to the big, academic, we're going to spend 3 days out at the resort doing conferencey things. And he'd dress in like a full biker gear and just walk around. And like people are like, so what do you do for a living? He's like, oh man, I just ride. It's just good times. And she'd just be mortified of that. And she's a very intelligent woman. So I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's hard to see here because she's coming in speaking about the same things as him. But she's taking the exact opposite approach.
It is a different approach, and it seems to be a very off-the-wall approach, a very humorous approach in this, is using the planchette to try to divine the spirits and attuning herself to them so she can commune with them.
Right.
As opposed to the good scientific method of Dr. Montague.
Yeah.
So, good contrast. I'd give you that, for sure.
I've got a few intertextual things that's really sort of exploit what I'm talking about here with Shirley Jackson working against your subconscious.
Okay.
We get this quote from page 168. Upon the joy in heaven, as the souls of these tiny creatures wing upward, they released before they have learned aught of sin or faithlessness, and make it thine unceasing duty to remain as pure as these. Now he's talking about how his daughters. This is in the book that they find, and he's talking about how his daughter should act. Hugh Crane talking about how his daughter should act. Did you notice anything funny about that phrase?
Lay it on me once more.
Talking about, I believe it's angels here. Upon the joy in heaven, as the souls of these tiny creatures wing upward, released before they have learned aught of sin or faithlessness, and make it thine unceasing duty to remain as pure as these.
What are you going for here?
The word ought.
Ought.
Spelled A-U-G-H-T.
Okay.
Means anything at all. But why would you pick that word?
Why would you pick that word?
Because it sounds like ought.
Okay.
As in should, right? So when you read the phrase as should, tell me how this sounds. Aught of sin or faithlessness.
Okay.
Now, what he's saying is, before they have learned anything at all about sin or faithlessness. But what it's saying, because this is being read aloud to our characters here, it's saying out loud before they have learned anything at all about what they should do with sin and faithlessness.
Okay.
So it's another one of those little quirks that Shirley Jackson is just great at.
Yeah.
Where she puts something directly in the text and you see it and it's there.
And we brought it up in the past as well. And it's always been well done. That's good writing. That's what good writing should be.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that whatsoever. I'm not going to attack Shirley Jackson, the writer. I think she does well. I just don't think this is the best story she's done.
Well, on the kissing page to that, page 169, we're talking about those same etchings from Goya. Is it from Goya? Now here's a Goya. And we get this. Next comes hell, Luke said. Don't look if you're squeamish. I think I will skip hell, Eleanor said. But read it to me. Wise of you, the doctor said. An illustration from Fox. One of the less attractive deaths, I have always thought, although who can fathom the ways of martyrs? Does anything strike you there?
That's a gruesome image.
It is a gruesome image. It is an image of a martyr, but what strikes you about the context in which we're getting it?
Go on.
I'll go right back to the beginning of the quote.
Is it an illustration?
It's an illustration.
Okay.
Next comes hell, Luke said. Don't look if you're squeamish. Did you catch it? Next comes hell.
The
Luke
martyrs
said.
in hell.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Look
Yeah.
at that.
The martyr is being used to represent a visual depiction of hell. Why would martyrs go to hell?
Well, in theory, martyrs should not go to hell unless
They're martyrs for the wrong god.
their faith was misplaced.
And in a place such as this, where all of these people presumably share the same faith, would they or would they not all be damned?
They would be damned indeed.
Well, I'll be.
And again, just getting back to the beginning of Hill House here, stood Hill House, not sane. This is not the world where we would typically see, the martyr would be ascending into heaven. This is the world where the martyr goes to hell. Let's talk about ascension a little bit. That scene with the staircase, where Eleanor is at her wits' ends, the haunting is within her, she's starting to completely lose it. There is a gorgeous scene right at the end where she is ascending a spiral staircase, trying to get to the only exit of Hill House, that door, which is a trap door in the ceiling. And she can't reach it, and Luke rescues her. But we get that image, that last final image, Eleanor's last attempt to escape herself, to escape Hill House, to get away from this, is just snuffed out from her. And at that point, she has to return back, descend into hell, back into Hill House.
Begged by her friends.
Begged by her friends. That's a gorgeous scene. It is well done. It is very well done. I think possibly one of my favorite scenes in the novel here. Again, I wish there would have been more played with it, but that's not really Shirley Jackson's style. She wants to set you up for that, and she wants you to pull it out on your own.
Yeah.
But no, I'm okay with it. I think it was a good scene, and that being the preamble to the suicide.
Well, and here's another thing. Say she gets through that trapdoor. Where is she?
She's still in Hill House. She's just on top of it.
She's on top of it. How do you get down from on top?
You jump.
Well, I'll be.
It's an escape, though. It's an escape.
Yeah. You don't die in hell, you die on the lawn.
Do you have anything else to say about this, Adrian? Anything at all?
I have one more thing that I want to see if you catch.
I hate these.
Page 172. I am teaching you to be literati. Page 172. Theodora curled by the fire, looking up wickedly at Eleanor. At the other end of the room, the chessmen moved softly, jarring with little sounds against the table, and Theodora spoke gently, tormentingly. Will you have him at your little apartment, Nell, and offer him to drink from your cup of stars? What strikes you there?
You messing with my cup of stars references again?
We're going to mess with your cup of stars.
I like
references.
my cups of stars.
I know you like your cups
I
of
like
stars.
crazy characters who drinks from their cups of stars.
I know you do, but what's weird about that phrase right there?
What is weird about that, Adrian? Lay it on me.
So Theodora is sitting at the feet of Eleanor.
Okay.
Theodora, curled by the fire, looking up wickedly at Eleanor. At the other end of the room, the chessmen moved softly, jarring with little sounds against the table, and Theodora spoke gently, tormentingly. Will you have him at your little apartment now, and offer him to drink from your cup of stars? She still thinks Nell lives in an apartment.
Okay.
But Eleanor never told her that story about the cup of stars.
Okay.
That cup of stars happened
Before she arrived.
before she arrived. When she was on her way. She saw that little girl and said, don't you ever put down your cup of stars, because you'll never get it back.
All right.
Right?
So again, we get that idea of that premonition. Something's not quite right.
Well, and one of the things one of the ways, so schizophrenia, and maybe this is no longer a hallmark of schizophrenia, but one of the hallmarks of schizophrenia is the whole conundrum of, I don't know what you don't know. So a schizophrenic conversation may start with someone, hey, so the cup, right? I mean, the cup, remember? I have no idea what you don't know.
Okay.
So I know that, and I assume you do too. So here, we have the opposite.
Okay.
Someone knowing something that they shouldn't know. Which means either A, they've read your mind,
Some kind of supernatural gift.
or B, this isn't happening at all, and Eleanor is having this conversation extracurricularly with references to her earlier day that are never coming from Theodora.
Okay.
Because if I'm having that conversation with you, I don't know what you don't know, and I start the conversation, I started that conversation with you because I have some reason to believe that you know.
Interesting. It plays a lot more into the
Yeah.
character development of this. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure where to go with this. I still don't think I like it, though.
You know who does like it?
Who does like it?
You should like it and hit the like button for us getting this far into the book, even though Dalton doesn't like it.
That was terrible. That transition was terrible. I'm done with this. This feels dirty.
All right, that's fine.
Anyway, if you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and give this video a like as well.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that was worse. Maybe we should just end this. We should just end it completely.
Cut to black.
We done?
Jesus Christ.